What if Anakin told Obi Wan about Palpatine in Revenge of the Sith? Let's explore the depths of it in the video. Anakin's skin crawls as he hears Palpatine's silky voice tell him this story. Although the Chancellor sounds casual, as if this is simply him making small talk, Anakin can sense something more. This doesn't sound like a simple story. This sounds like something Palpatine knows, rather intimately. He shifts in his seat and nods his head, but at the same time finds himself intrigued by what he has to say. It is fascinating, as he has sought a power like this. This is exactly what he needed to save Padme. Part of him just wants to ask about it now, but he holds himself back. At first, he thinks of the Jedi and their teachings, but then nearly curses them. For all their talk about being peacekeepers and understanding the Force, he finds their lack of conviction in these principles disturbing, so much that he's tempted to simply dismiss them outright. But then he thinks of Obi Wan, and these thoughts soften. Though he's had his ups and downs with his master, he knows he's always been there for him, and the thought of betraying him after everything they've been through gives him pause. As the opera ends, Anakin excuses himself and thanks the Chancellor for the evening. Once he is alone, he reaches out and contacts his master. Obi Wan remains on Utapau, searching for Grievous as his troops secure the upper levels.
Anakin, I'm rather busy right now.
Chancellor Palpatine is a Sith Lord. I spoke to him. I think he's trying to convince me to join him. He's been hinting at power beyond the Jedi's understanding.
Have you reported this to the Jedi Council?
No, I can't. Listen, Master. I don't think I can do that. The Chancellor, he's offering me something I need.
Listen to yourself, Anakin. That is what he wants. The longer he's allowed to roam free, the more power he can gain, and the more opportunities he has to corrupt you. This cannot wait.
You don't understand. I can't stop him.
I know that tone. It's Padme, isn't it?
Master.
Don't lie to me. You're playing a dangerous game here. I want the truth.
Yes. She's going to die. I can feel it. I've received visions from the Force. If he can help me save her, I need to take the chance.
One of these days you're going to be the death of me. Listen, Anakin. Whatever you do, you cannot accept what he has to offer. If you fear for her life, then maybe I can help.
How?
The archives. There are sections that only a master can access. I can return home and study them. But you owe me big time.
Let's say that business on Cato Nemoidia is square.
Oh no, you're going to owe me after this one.
Obi-Wan leaves command of the operations on Utapau to Commander Cody, telling him to handle the situation as there is urgent business on Coruscant that requires his attention. In the meantime, Anakin is to continue acting as the Chancellor's aide and should continue gathering evidence. The Chancellor sees that what he's doing is working, and slowly begins to drop Anakin hints of his power, growing bolder as time goes on. That is till one day when he outright states that he is a Sith Lord. Anakin stares at him in shock, trying to process everything. He insists he needs time to make sense of everything, which the Chancellor kindly agrees to, though he warns Anakin not to delay too long. Despite his calm demeanor, in reality the Chancellor is rather nervous as he questions whether Anakin intends to report him, but he forces himself to calm down. However, the next day Anakin returns and continues to talk to him, asking to know more about these powers. This is confirmation enough for Palpatine, as the Jedi do not immediately arrest him. He indulges Anakin and continues to drop hints of his power, never revealing the details of it, but enough to keep him hooked. Despite his efforts to resist, Anakin finds himself drawn to these powers. Although he promises to keep Palpatine at bay, slowly his defenses begin to crack, and he finds himself more and more tempted. But just as he's about to break free, he soon gets word that Obi Wan has arrived, and as Anakin leaves for the day, the Jedi Master approaches the Chancellor's office. With him are a few Jedi Masters he can trust with this secret, Kit Fisto and CC-Teen. Obi-Wan strides into the Chancellor's office. Anakin's warning burns in Obi-Wan's mind. Palpatine is the Sith Lord we've been searching for. Although he still questions what he is doing and whether it is truly the right thing, he can't allow himself to falter now. Instead, he tells himself that after they arrest the Chancellor, they can explain everything to the Jedi Council. He will just say that Anakin contacted him privately about this, and that he's worried Palpatine was monitoring their activity. With this explanation, he takes a deep breath and enters the room. Palpatine sits at his desk. His lips curl into a thin smile as the Jedi enter. Inside, he is seething as he immediately knows that Anakin is behind this. Still, he hides it behind his amusement.
Master Kenobi, what brings you here unannounced and uninvited? Should you not be on Utapau? I can answer your questions and more, Chancellor Palpatine. You are under arrest for treason against the Republic. We have evidence of your crimes, and you will surrender yourself to the Senate and the Jedi Council. Treason? I am the Republic. It is you who should tread carefully. Your hubris will be the death of the Jedi.
Before Obi Wan can respond, Palpatine's hands snap forward. Twin crimson blades ignite with a hiss, and the Sith Lord vaults over the desk with inhuman speed, slashing towards CC-10. The Jedi Master barely manages to block Palpatine's first strike, but he twists his blade, shoves him aside, and rushes to Kit Fisto, who tries to swing at him. The Sith Lord leaps over this attack, kicks him back, and tries to stab him. It burns into Kit's side and sends him tumbling. Obi-Wan moves in front of him to defend this attack and then pushes him back. He advances on him and sweeps his lightsaber at him. Palpatine chuckles and blocks his attack, his blades spinning in a whirlwind that forces Obi-Wan to break off and defend against him. Cece and Kit rush to his side. Their lightsabers swing at him, but Palpatine pulls his lightsaber and blocks the attacks, then twists his sabers and kicks Obi-Wan, following with another slash. The Jedi Master barely parries this strike as CC-10 comes from behind, but Palpatine is faster. He reverses his grip and blocks it. Kit Fisto roars and charges, his green blade a blur. In response, the Chancellor leaps over this attack and lands on his desk. Before he can follow up his attack, Palpatine kicks all items on his desk and sends them flying toward him. As he tries to avoid these obstacles and slashes forward, Palpatine leaps over and slashes Kit from behind. It severs some of his head tails and leaves him howling in pain. As he drops to the ground, Palpatine drives his lightsaber through his chest. Obi-Wan clenches his jaw, watching as Palpatine stands up and readies his lightsabers as he grins over them.
You've lost, Palpatine. The Senate will see the truth. The Senate will see what I want them to see, Kenobi. And you've walked right into my trap.
With a sudden burst of speed, Palpatine whirls around and strikes at Obi-Wan, who is pushed off the defense. Although he has experience with this fighting style from Ventress and Grievous, Palpatine's power is unlike anything he's ever seen, and just protecting himself is taking everything out of him. He parries each strike and tries to stab forward, but this does little than amuse Palpatine, who in turn flicks his wrist and disarms Obi-Wan. He stands over the Jedi Master, his sabers poised for the killing blow.
Do it then.
No. I have a better idea.
With a flick of his wrist, Obi-Wan is yanked from his feet by an invisible force. Palpatine extinguishes his lightsabers and then slams him against the wall, knocking him out. The next day, the Senate chamber is packed. Palpatine stands before the assembly, his voice booming as he makes a dramatic announcement. The Jedi have attempted to stage a coup against the Republic. He says how a group of masters tried to assassinate him last night, and how they claimed they saw visions in the Force.
They tried to seize control of the Republic. They betrayed their oaths, their code, and you, the citizens of this democracy. But their plot failed. One of their ringleaders, Obi Wan Kenobi, has been arrested and will face justice for his crimes. This is all thanks to the effort of one Anakin Skywalker, who managed to confront them and defeat them. Together with him, we shall learn the full extent of this corruption.
The senators erupt in applause, their loyalty to Palpatine cemented. The Chancellor continues, saying how these visions prompted Obi-Wan to abandon his post on Utapau at a critical time. From the corner, Anakin can only watch in surprise, his eyes widening as he hears what happened. But he doesn't have a chance to dwell on it. Soon he's called by Palpatine to his office. Once they are alone, his calm expression fades and is instead replaced with a sneer.
So, you have made your decision. I am disappointed, young one. Here I thought I saw potential in you, but you are just as weak and sentimental as the rest of the Jedi. I should kill you for disrupting my plans.
So why don't you?
Where is the fun in that? No, I will make you suffer for this treachery. Make no mistake, your master only lives because I allow it. But one order from me, and he shall be on the executioner's block. Do you think the Senate will oppose me there? Choose wisely, my young friend. The future of this galaxy depends on it.
Anakin clenches his fists, but he knows he is in no position to challenge him, not when he has all the cards. Slowly, he bows his head and agrees to these terms. The first thing he does is talk to the Jedi about the issue. With these attacks, the Jedi Order is in chaos as they try to make sense of why 3 Jedi Council members tried to attack the Chancellor. The first person they call is Anakin to try and make sense of it by asking if he witnessed anything. However, Anakin instead says that they told him they received visions from the Force that Palpatine is the Sith Lord they were searching for. Although Anakin has not presented them with any proof, they seemed certain, so he tried his best to stop them. As he says this, he begins to grasp just how clever Palpatine's plan is. Everything he says implicates him further, and even if he were ever to contradict himself, he would only vilify himself. But at the same time, he can't bring himself to stop Palpatine, as he thinks of Obi Wan in his cell. Once the Jedi Council hears this, though, they realize how dire the situation is. The Chancellor has every right to organize a counterattack and arrest them. This means that they must appease the Senate. For the next few weeks, they keep their heads low, simply focusing on the war and not commenting on all the actions of the Chancellor or the Senate. Palpatine takes this opportunity to further consolidate power by enacting new security measures that he claims will prevent future attacks. These measures consolidate power to the office of the Chancellor, giving him more authority, while restricting some of the privileges the Jedi have, such as now requiring a Republic representative in their temple to prevent such action. Meanwhile, the Jedi find their positions in the military reduced, as their clone officers take command instead, with Jedi being reduced to an advisory role. He even threatens to have a garrison installed in the Jedi Temple if they refuse to cooperate. It soon becomes clear that Palpatine holds all the cards, and any resistance will only result in further suppression. But this isn't enough for the Chancellor. While he has Anakin cooperating, he still wishes to make him an apprentice. So, as a reward for his actions, he begins teaching him the ways of the dark side. However, he makes it clear that Anakin's presence is not optional. With the threat to Obi-Wan's life lingering, he has no choice but to agree. He senses anger and resentment within Anakin as they begin their lessons. He teaches him to hone it and target it in the Force. Palpatine shows him different dark techniques, each one enough to make the most dedicated Jedi hesitate. But with his rage clouding his judgment, Anakin finds himself going through the motions and learning these techniques at a faster rate. His rage at Palpatine fueling him. However, with that anger, there is an opening, and Palpatine takes advantage of it. He whispers in Anakin's ear, reminding him that this is all to save Padme, and how it will bring security to the galaxy. In truth, Obi Wan should be proud to make this sacrifice, and how in reality the weakness and helplessness he feels is because of the Jedi for leaving him so vulnerable and forced to make these sacrifices. At first, Anakin brushes these off as clumsy attempts to corrupt him, but as time goes on, it begins to have its effect on him. While he doesn't buy into it fully, he also can't let himself deal with the guilt. The understanding that he placed his friends in such a precarious position, so instead he buries it under his rage. All the while, Palpatine lies and waits to search for the best opportunity to deal with the rest of the Jedi Order. He soon gets his opportunity on Utapau as the campaign there stalls, prompting the Chancellor to send some of the Jedi Council in Obi-Wan's place to help the clones, weakening their position. The Jedi's attention is too focused on dealing with the Senate to notice what is happening to Anakin. However, someone who does notice is his wife. As he returns home, Anakin finds Padme sitting in their apartment, her hands resting gently on her growing belly. Even with the sun shining brightly in the room, it's hard to enjoy Anakin's presence, as his aura radiates darkness and uncertainty. When they do talk, he appears distant.
Anakin.
I'm fine, Padme.
No, you're not. Talk to me. Please. Whatever's happening, whatever you're going through, you don't have to face it alone.
You wouldn't understand.
Does this have to do with the Jedi And Obi Wan? Anakin, whatever vision he felt, I'm sure he never meant to hurt anyone. He was just misguided.
He wasn't misguided. He knew exactly what he was doing.
The senator recoils at his voice. The sheer anger and venom is enough to send her back. But there is something else. Regret, worry, and sadness. She furrows her brow and looks over at him, starting to grow a bit more suspicious.
There is more to this, isn't there?
Anakin says nothing in response. His face stares at the ground, and he thinks of everything that's happened. Padme purses her lips, thinking that Anakin doesn't wish to talk, and prepares to leave. But then she feels his arm grab hers.
It's Palpatine. He's the Sith Lord we've been searching for. He's been training me, showing me how to use the dark side. He has Obi Wan in his custody, Padme. And if I don't cooperate, he'll kill him.
Anakin, why didn't you tell me?
Because I didn't know what else to do. I'm doing this for you, Padme. For our child. Palpatine says he can save you. That the dark side is the only way to protect you. Obi Wan tried to stop him to show me there was a different way. But he failed. I wonder if maybe I was wrong. And this is really the only way.
Anakin, you can't believe that.
Why not? I've betrayed Obi Wan to do it. And the Jedi. I've let him down. And I don't know how to fix it. All I can do is make sure it isn't all for nothing.
Padme steps closer, cupping his face in her hands.
Listen to me. You don't have to do this. You don't have to let him control you. My life is in no one's hands but my own. We'll find another way. Together. But you have to let me help you.
But he'll kill Obi Wan. He'll come after you and the baby. I can't let that happen.
Don't underestimate me, Anakin. Or Obi Wan. We've survived worse. We can survive this. Anakin, the man I love, the man I married, isn't a slave to fear or anger. He's a good man, a kind man. You're better than this. But I know you will never be able to live with yourself if you let this happen.
The next day, Anakin does not show up to his training sessions with Palpatine. Instead, it is as if a fog has lifted, and he heads to the Jedi Temple. He thinks long and hard about what he should do, but there is only one answer that comes to him. Palpatine's plan is built on him being a hero, with his word protecting the Chancellor and justifying all the actions he takes. To defeat him, he has to take that away and accept whatever the consequences might be. He approaches the Jedi Council and explains everything, confessing his part in this attempted coup and saying how his trust was shaken with the Jedi Order, but also telling them of how Palpatine has Padme over his head. The Jedi Council is shocked and furious at this betrayal. They condemn Anakin, but realize now is not the time to deal with him. They must first take care of Palpatine and prevent him from fully getting control of the Republic. Anakin makes his way to the Senate building, while a group of Jedi hurries to Coruscant prison. The roar of repulsor pods fill the Coruscant skyline as Yoda leads the strike team towards the prison facility. Jedi Masters Shaak Ti, Plo Koon, and Ajen Kalar accompany him. The prison is heavily guarded, but their goal is clear: to free Obi-Wan Kenobi. As they reach the restricted area where Obi-Wan is being held, Yoda closes his eyes and begins activating the controls from the other side. When the guards react, Plo Koon and Shaak Ti deflect blaster fire from the nearby guards. Ajen Kalar then throws them back with the Force as the doors open. Commander Fox and his men try to hold them back, but Yoda leaps up in the air, landing on a clone's back and slamming him against the wall, leaping from trooper to trooper while Shaak Ti covers him and slices Fox's blasters. When he picks up an electrostaff, he slams the clone against the wall. Plo Koon finishes off with a burst of Force judgment that incapacitates the guards. They soon find Obi-Wan's cell where the Jedi Master leaps to his feet. Plo Koon slices the locks on Obi-Wan's restraints, while Ajen Kalar fends off incoming guards. The Jedi make their escape, cutting through waves of security droids and troopers as they retreat to their ship. The moment Palpatine learns of Obi-Wan's escape, he seizes the opportunity to condemn the Jedi publicly. Inside the Senate chamber, Palpatine stands at the center podium, his visage calm but his tone sharp and commanding. The chamber erupts into murmurs and gasps as the holographic display shows footage of the Jedi storming the prison.
My fellow senators, today the Jedi have shown their true colors. They attempted to assassinate me, to overthrow the Republic, and now they have broken into a secure prison to free one of their conspirators, Obi Wan Kenobi. The Jedi Order has betrayed us all. Their treason threatens the very foundation of the Republic. But I assure you, justice will be swift.
As the senators react to this development, Padme's repulsor pod suddenly flies in close and glares at them.
Stop this. Justice shall be met, but it starts with me. I won't let you manipulate them any longer. Everything he's told you is a lie. The Jedi didn't betray the Republic. I did. I lied to you. I lied to the Jedi. This is because the Chancellor instructed me to.
Gasps ripple through the chamber as Anakin continues. He explains everything. How he discovered the Chancellor was a Sith Lord, but wished to solve it quietly, prompting Obi Wan to try and settle the issue without informing anyone. However, Anakin takes full responsibility, especially after he refuses to clear things up for fear of being exposed. Padme places a supportive hand on Anakin's arm. He glances over at her and smiles. With a deep breath, he continues, saying how he did this to keep his marriage with Padme hidden, and because he feared she would die. It even led him to begin practicing the dark side of the Force. As the gasps ripple across the Senate, Padme calls for Palpatine to be impeached immediately, ordering that for the sake of the Republic, they must find an untainted Chancellor who was not involved in a conspiracy. Anakin bows his head and says he is prepared to accept the consequences, but anger comes from only one person.
You fool! You dare to betray me! After all I've done for you, you will pay for your insolence.
The senators scream as Palpatine unleashes a torrent of Sith lightning at Anakin. Anakin ignites his lightsaber just in time, deflecting the energy with a grimace. Padme ducks behind him. Bail Organa's repulsor lift appears beside them, and he helps Padme on board. But then Palpatine redirects his lightning towards it, shorting out its circuits and sending it tumbling to the ground. Anakin barely catches them with the Force, but this leaves him exposed to the Chancellor's attack as he leaps up and stabs at him. Anakin barely dodges as the two leap onto a third repulsor lift. With them safe, he uses the Force to hurl the repulsor pod he's carrying to Palpatine. However, the Sith Lord raises his lightsaber and slices it in half, sending the debris raining down. He tries to slash down at Anakin, who rolls aside and ignites his lightsaber. Their weapons clash, sending sparks all around them, but as the Emperor readies his second lightsaber, he rains down attacks on them. The movements barely seem to register in Anakin's mind as he moves too quickly. He begins to get pushed back towards the edge of the repulsor pod. As he teeters over the edge, he leaps over and tries to slash at Palpatine, but the Chancellor crosses his blades and stops it a few inches from him. Anakin growls and tries to push into him, letting his anger fuel him, which causes him to laugh.
Yes, give in to your anger.
But even as he closes the distance, his anger seems to melt, and instead, Anakin kicks his leg and sends him stumbling. This time, it's Palpatine who must duck under a slash.
No, I'm not like you.
You were supposed to be my greatest weapon.
I will never be your weapon.
He catches another strike, redirecting it to the side in a shower of sparks. But Anakin, ever relentless, twists his lightsaber with precision, angling it toward Palpatine's face. The blade scorches perilously close to his eyes, forcing a sharp hiss from the Sith Lord. In that fleeting moment of vulnerability, Anakin seizes the opportunity and swings his lightsaber in a decisive arc, severing Palpatine's head in one clean stroke. With the chaos finished, Anakin allows himself to be tried by the Jedi and Senate. All the evidence he confessed to is enough to get him removed from the Order and imprisoned. Even Obi Wan cannot believe it, but though it takes some time, he eventually forgives him. In the meantime, Padme gives birth to a pair of healthy children, and though their father is in prison, she lets them visit him, hoping for the day that Anakin will be released. That's our theory. The Star Wars universe is a galaxy filled with exciting stories and possibilities, and we love exploring them. If you want to accompany us on this journey to a galaxy far, far away, then please like, share, and subscribe to our channel.